I don't want to say that, but he embraces the data the way that you need your coach to if you're going to be a front office that uses and leans on the data to show what is going on the court. And that's something that the Grizzlies hadn't had. Lionel Hollins, who greatest coach in the decade easily, um, and Dave Yeager really pushed back against a lot of that. Now they've got a front office and a coaching staff that are moving in the same direction. Whereas at one point in time, Lionel Hollins infamously said champagne tastes on a beer budget, showing that there was a rift between them the whole way. That ended after he got them to a Western Conference final, first one in franchise history. And I do believe he was coach of the year that year. He was.
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Coach of the year that year. Um, and they just decided not to extend him. The way that whole thing ended showed you the rift between coach and front office. Now it seems to be coach, front office, players moving in lockstep, which is a testament and a credit to all parties involved. And it does give you a lot of hope for the next decade.
No, absolutely. And, I think it starts with how they were able to make a full measure reset, because there were enough half measures over the years. This was a full measure, because the worst that you can be is just sitting in mediocrity.
You don't want that in the NBA.
in any league, in baseball, football, anything like that. You've seen that with the Titans back and forth throughout the years. A lot of 8-8 seasons over time. You're starting to see that with Dallas a little bit after they haven't been able to get out of the divisional round, and now Jason Garrett, they're now having a second meeting because I guess they didn't have enough crab legs or steaks or whatever in the first meeting together. They're probably going to need another one to determine what they're going to do.
What is going on there?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm thinking that the necessitating a second meeting says to me that Jerry Jones really doesn't want to do it because he likes Jason Garrett. He's been around that long, and now you're in a situation where he hasn't performed for you.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end, can you imagine if the Giants pull the trigger after they fire the Cowboys fire Jason Garrett, and suddenly you're facing your former coach twice a week, twice a year?
Why would you want that if you're the Giants? Like, we know what Jason Garrett is.
Mm-hmm.
We know what he is. He is a remarkably okay coach. If you're the Giants, I guess it makes sense because it goes back to knowing where you are and what you are as a franchise. If you're bad and the Giants are bad, a remarkably okay coach is an upgrade. And I can get that, but he's not going to be better, I don't think. I think this is what Jason Garrett is. He'll have that blip on the radar once every 5-6 seasons, but outside of that, that is what he is. And so if you want a coach to get you, because it's levels to this. You don't just go, most teams don't just go from really, really bad to really, really good in the span of a coaching hire, like one season. So if you're saying, hey, we're bad right now, but Garrett can get us to average, and then we can go get another coach to take us from average to great, then fine. But I don't think hiring Garrett is going to be a championship type decision if you're the Giants.
Potentially not, but you never know. Bill Belichick wasn't very popular until, granted, that could be the exception to the rule rather than the rule itself. When it comes to the Cowboys, though, and this is, growing up a Giants fan, seeing Tom Coughlin, time had passed him by a bit as a coach, so they needed to make that move. But the problem is who do you bring in? Now they've had Ben McAdoo. They now just had Pat Shermer.
I forgot about McAdoo.
He made a doo-doo decision knocking Eli's streak, and then just for Geno Smith to bring him in. It's like, okay, if Danny Dimes was in that situation, I get it, but you're gonna sit Eli because you want to see what Geno Smith can do? You already know what Geno Smith can do, and it's not a whole lot.
In defense of that decision, Eli was bad.
Eli was
bad. So why are we?
But again, it's the same thing as the head coach.
Keep rolling.
Then who you're going to bring in? Geno?
Yeah, let's see what Geno can do. I was fine.
We know what Geno can do.
And we also know what Eli can do.
Yeah,
I would. Hey, cut them both and go get somebody else. I don't care. Like that's fine. But to say that not to play Geno because we know what he can do while Eli is stinking up the joint royally, I think is now it's like homerish, but like you're honoring Eli, granted, for what he did for you in the Super Bowls. But he's not that quarterback and he's not that good. So you do have to take a look at what these other players can do
Right.
at a certain point.
My point is the bigger issue is that you didn't have somebody in place that is able to do that.
Yes.
You have that with Daniel Jones. You'll get a chance to see whether or not he really is somebody that can take you to that next level. You know, he started off, he had a couple good games, and now it's been hit or miss. You know, I still think that last offseason was a train wreck for the Giants when you look at you getting rid of Odell and then drafting Daniel Jones, getting rid of Landon Collins, only to bring in Jabril Peppers in the Odell trade. I still don't understand it, and they're saying that Dave Gettleman will be retained. But getting back to the Cowboys, if you're gonna get rid of Jason Garrett, who do you bring in? I know Matt Rule's a popular option.
You go do a coaching search and see who you go bring in. Matt Rule is great. What he's done at Baylor is cool. It's fine. And if Sexy Flexy can get a job at Arizona after doing nothing at Texas Tech, fine, I guess. But you do a coaching search. Don't just settle on names. And that is what the issue is with a lot of these coaching searches. They settle on a familiar name because it is hot right now, and that name ends up failing. Conduct a coaching search. Seattle's got 2 great assistants up there. You want a piece of that winning culture? Because I think you should go and interview them, ask them what's going on. If you're going to go at Matt Rule, that's well and good, but he's in college. They're in the pros. There are better pro candidates if you so choose to go out there and conduct an actual search. We got more to get to on the other side. We're going to talk some about Tigers basketball, what they did last night and what they've done over the decade in this decade edition of The Experience right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find Real Sports Talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
Campbell Clinic now offers daytime walk-in care, and you don't need an appointment. If you've got any kind of urgent break, sprain, strain, you can walk into any of their 5 convenient locations Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. There's no long wait you have to put up with the ER, and those doctors are really good, but they're not orthopedists. They're not world-renowned orthopedists who have come up with different procedures and written the manuals for them that are used everywhere in the world, and I'm not kidding you. And you can now see those doctors who treat the Tigers, the Grizzlies, the Redbirds. You can see them today without an appointment. And I'm talking Collierville, Germantown, South Haven, downtown at the Med Center, or even the Campbell Clinic Spine Center in Cordova. Now, if you've got something pressing, you got to go to work, and you can bear the pain until the evening, there's Campbell Clinic After Hours. That's Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 in Germantown, South Haven, even Saturday morning in Germantown. If you're injured, don't wait. Visit Campbell Clinic Walk-In Care or Campbell Clinic After Hours. The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Mid-South Power Distributors is your source for all things diesel. Their newly renovated drive-in repair shop is open to the public. Whether it'll be your everyday driver, farm equipment, fleet vehicle, or heavy-duty truck, their ASE-certified technicians will get you back on the road. The on-site dyno is ready to run all the necessary diagnostic testing. From preventative maintenance to complete overhauls, Mid-South Power can handle it all. Stop in today at 3288 Mill Branch Road or call 901-396-0710 and online at mid-southpower.com.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurts. This hour of the Experience is brought to you by Mid-South Power Distributors. All things diesel for over 26 years. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
And the moment that you wander around me, I wanna feel you in my arms again. And you
Welcome back.
to me,
Soft Rock Tuesday, the last Soft Rock Tuesday of the decade, ladies and gentlemen. Who is this?
BG.
Oh, this the Bee Gees? I was wondering why. Are you a soft rock head?
Well, I mean, I know this song. Who doesn't know this song? You don't know this song?
If you look over there.
Really?
Okay. Soft rock is not a genre I am familiar with. That is Clayton Collier you guys are listening to. Clayton, expert on all things rock, soft, heavy, hard, whatever. He's got it.
I almost wore my Grohl Hawkins 2020 shirt, which is Foo Fighters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to fake it. I was be like, oh, you most definitely should have, whoever that person is. Yeah, welcome back into the Experience. CJ, no Peter, Zach on the other side. We were talking about the decade that was for Grizzlies basketball, and we can get back into that conversation, sending your thoughts on that, 67129, or give us a call, 360-8255, First Bank phone line, First Bank text line. But let's move over to the Tigers. We'll do basketball first. Last night, before we take a look at what's transpired over the last 10 years for Memphis, they had a game. They played Tulane. Memphis won 84-73. It was another double-double for Precious as he goes for 14, 10, one block on 6 for 8 shooting. Went 1 for 1 from deep. Damian Bow, chipped in 15 points. DJ Jeffries added another 14. Tyler Harris, 12 points. Continues to be the only one who can shoot consistently from 3 for the team. 4-4-10. Lester's back, though. Lester goes 4-4-8. The rest of the team went, let me make sure my math is correct here. Yeah, it is 1 for 8 from 3. The rest of the team was. Meanwhile, Lester and Tyler went a combined 8 for 18, which is a pretty good, pretty respectable 3-point percentage. And you see what Lester brings you outside of just the tight shorts when he's out there on the court.
Yeah, I mean, in his last 2 games, granted, talking about against New Orleans and Tulane, but his 3-point shooting starting to make me wonder, is this the second shooter that you really are going to need on the perimeter here? You know, especially, Boogie's had a couple of rough games trying to get him going a little more. I'm interested to see how this develops because I'm interested if Lester and Boogie can both go off on a given night.
I don't think Boogie can. I don't think Boogie's built for that just yet. Now, once you get to February, you're no longer a freshman. You are a sophomore with the way the amount of games that you play. So maybe then he might be able to give you something. I don't know what he was coming out of high school. Was he supposed to be a sharpshooter coming out of high school? Okay, well, there's got to be something there then because that line, maybe the line is back further because the line is back further. That's affecting the shot some.
I'd
for
asked
him.
I'd asked Penny about that before the Ole Miss game, and he was saying that he didn't want to use the excuse. He was kind of hesitant, but finally admitted that is a little bit of a factor in terms of confidence for these guys because 3-point shooting is all about confidence, and when it's an extra foot back, it's not as you're not as confident taking that deep shot or deeper shot than you're used to because you're already used to going from high school, college, and then now having to have it a little bit longer as well. That was an adjustment for them. I think they're starting to come along that way. It's a problem that is worse because of not having James Wiseman, and they held down the offensive glass 9-7 in this game. But Memphis is going to need to be much better on the offensive glass. That's been a consistent issue throughout non-conference if they're going to really compete and do damage in March.
It is the way they play defense, the way they get out and get into people. It is hard to play that way and then find the body to get into. Like Virginia, great defensive team. They're not out pressuring you at half court though. So they are the pack line defense. They are around the rim. They are, and depending on who the shooter is, it's different. But they are like a foot inside of the 3-point arc. Like not like a foot, but like got a foot planted, their physical foot planted inside the 3-point arc.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so when the shot goes up, they are already in the paint ready to go rebound. With Memphis, they get extended so far out there.
That's a good
competing and contesting shots and chasing down balls and just being pests on ball handlers that when the shot goes up, they're all out of position. And especially the guards are out of position. So that does require a lot. And you're right, because James Wiseman will be down there to get those. It places a lot more pressure on your bigs when they're having to rebound against when it's 2-on-3, 2-on-4. It places a lot more pressure on them. And that might be something that Memphis has to take a step back and say, hey, do we need to get better on the offensive glass? Do we need to pack this thing in more? I don't think they do.
Well, Precious Achua didn't have an offensive rebound last night. He had 10 rebounds, but didn't have one on the offensive glass. Meanwhile, Damian Baugh had 4 boards, and they were all on the offensive end.
Yeah, and that goes again. Like the game is changing. The game has changed. It's no longer your bigs that are responsible for getting those boards. Your guards can go in there as well, and in a lot of cases do a really good job. Just thinking about in the pros what Russell Westbrook can do going at the rim. Patrick Beverly going in there. What's my man name here? Why is his name escaping me? For the Grizzlies. Came over in the trade with the Suns. DeAnthony Melton. What he's able to do going down, chasing down the balls. And it's all because everybody is spaced so far out. In the NBA, it is because bigs are now shooting and are like legit threats. In college with Memphis, it seems to be because they are out pressuring folks. And I enjoy watching them decide, hey, we're going to turn it up defensively. And that's something that leads me to believe this is a team that is coached with March in mind, because that is how you're going to have to win. Your shot might not always be there. Tyler's shot might not always be there. Precious' shot might not always be there, but defensive effort is always going to be there, can always be there. And the fact that when it got squirrely the last 3.5, 4 minutes of that game, Tulane cut it to like 73, 77 as a moth flies around. I would catch it and set it outside, but it's cold, and I think that would kill it. So I'm just going to let it fly around. But when that
Let
happens,
it fly. Let it
fly, man. Let that Mother Nature fly. What ends up happening in that moment after Tulane cuts it to like 73, 77 with 4 minutes left, Memphis turns up the defensive pressure, and Tulane doesn't score anymore. Memphis goes on a run, I think it's 7 points, to close out the game, 84-73. And if you can do that and hold teams down in a sport right now that is void of super elite teams, that is big. Like Michigan has spurts where they can't score, and Michigan and Memphis are both really good college basketball teams this year. And you look at that list of good college basketball teams this year, and you know that there is not an exceptional team out there on the court when you face off, and that you're Memphis with the top recruiting class, one of the top recruiting classes in the nation last year. There's a lot of talent on that court. You know that defensively, if you can bring it day in, day out, night in, night out on the defensive end of the court, you're going to be there come the second weekend in March because you are going to be more talented than most of the teams you play on the first weekend.
No, absolutely. And, whether or not Memphis can sustain right now come conference play is yet to be determined. I think that losing James evens the playing field a little bit. I think still Memphis is the favorite, certainly. But, the Houstons and some of these other teams along the way are going to, are going to give you some trouble at different points now that you don't have James. But this is obviously a huge coaching test for Penny Hardaway. You lose your centerpiece of that recruiting class, and now trying to, they built this team around him all summer, and now you're learning throughout non-conference play how to play without him on the fly. That's not an easy thing to do. And, so far, if Memphis still manages to make some noise in the tournament, which I think that they have a chance to make it to the second weekend, that's a big plus for Penny Hardaway because Kelvin Sampson from Houston was not very discreet last year in the conference tournament when he said about 5 or 6 times in the post-game press conference that Tubby Smith had a great team and Penny inherited a great team from Tubby Smith, and Kelvin Sampson was a big Tubby Smith guy. And so the indication was pretty clear that he was, pointing out the fact that, Penny didn't make the NIT and a deep conference tournament run all on his own, that he Sampson sounded like he was indicating that, Penny was riding the coattails a little bit, which wasn't, I don't think, overly well received necessarily. But, this is Penny's team now. This is, who you got here is all Penny's. So depending on what happens this year with, how they develop without having James Wiseman is going to be interesting to me.
That is what this decade will be most known for, I think, for Tigers basketball, the transition from Tubby to Penny. Tubby Smith, the year they decided not to bring him back, 21-13, that's a 20-win season. You would think, oh, that's pretty damn good.
40 wins in 2 years.
But that's not what Memphis wanted. Looking at, and by Memphis, I mean the fans, especially looking out, seeing all the talent that was in the area. Alo, Tyler Harris, James Wiseman, the other Lawson kid. By the way, before we get on that, why are we booing Chandler Lawson? Anybody know?
KJ Lawson.
KJ. It's all types of Lawsons running around here. Forgive me for saying the wrong one. Why are we booing KJ?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
What is going on? This Memphis versus everybody thing got to stop. Like that's it. Leave that here.
He is Memphis.
Well, I think the reason certain fan groups are booing KJ because of what happened with Tubby Smith.
Yeah, they're stupid.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't. That's not on the kid. As a you only got 4 or 5 years unless you're Brady White and you're working on a doctorate. You get 6.
Yeah,
you got 6 years max at this thing, 4 or 5 barring some catastrophic injury. That's what you have. So when things change with a program and new coaches come in, and they're not the coach who you decided to play for, right? Coming out of high school, excuse me. They're not the ones who recruited you. They got their own things going on. They don't know you don't know them. There's not that understanding as to, hey, this is how I play. Let's work with it. They have their own system. They're not trying to adapt their system to fit your needs as an individual player. You should transfer. Like that happens. I don't understand why that leads you as a fan to then say, oh, he turned his back on the city and boo. Memphis has got to stop that. Memphis, I've seen this happen with kids who commit to Tennessee, where all of a sudden they achieve great things for the Vols on the football field or on the basketball court, and it's nope, they're dead to us now. They're no longer Memphis because they went to play for Tennessee. They're no longer Memphis because they went to play down in Oxford. I don't get that. That's got to stop. That is very petty and very small-minded of you to go out there and boo this kid who has done nothing wrong. He committed, he played, coaches got changed, he didn't like the direction of the program, he transferred. I don't get why you're booing.
Well, and also, Keelan was on the staff, and Tubby was not going to have him on the staff after that first year, correct?
Yeah.
Why do you knock a kid? If you're going to a place potentially also to be on the staff with your dad, be on a team where your dad's on the staff, and he's not there anymore. Somebody, got rid of my father, and I'm in that situation. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
I don't blame them at all for that. And so I don't understand why you would boo whatsoever.
No, that's
And the Lawson family is a basketball like dynasty
powerhouse.
family right now.
Like,
I mean,
them out, man.
Diedrich, KJ, Chandler over at Oregon right now. Jonathan Lawson is over at Wooddale with Keelan, and they just won a state championship last year with Chandler.
Class of 2020, 2021.
Jonathan is 2021.
Okay,
yeah, and he is as advertised. He is, there's some great basketball talent coming up in that junior class around Memphis.
Yeah,
he is one of those pillars, and he is something special. There's some people that have said that Jonathan is the best out of the four.
And usually that's how it's worked because the baby brother's been catching hands from the oldest. We got to take a break, but I do want to talk more about Memphis Tigers looking back over the decade because that 2021 class and that class this year, 2019, full of talent. That is why fans were adamant about moving on from Tubby and wanted to get a coach who had connections to these players who could bring them in there. We'll talk more about that on the other side and get to Tony and Mike on the other side who have dialed in. Also, you're listening to The Experience right here on Real Sports Talk, 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM.
Happy holidays to all of our great Sports 56 listeners. We appreciate all of your support throughout 2019 and look forward to a great 2020.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions. Like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. And we give you this magic music, which will inspire the perfect hire to begin clog dancing. Okay, there's no magic music, but skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire and try skills tests for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
The Vargas family, legendary Memphis restaurateur, starting with Mr. Charlie and continuing today with his grandchildren.
Brett, it just dawned on me the other day that while Memphis is celebrating its bicentennial, the Rendezvous has been here well over 1/3 of Memphis's existence. Someone asked me if we remember the day the Rendezvous started, and I tell them no, because if we thought it was going to last this long, we'd have kept much better records. But we're not a place to rest on our laurels or reputation. We're always trying to add new things to make our customers' experience more enjoyable. Friday lunches have always been special because we give away our red beans and rice. But we are now adding a sausage sandwich. It's the same sausage we serve on our cheese and sausage plate, but it will be served lengthwise on the bun with beans and slaw on the side. We've also partnered with a company called Devillet out of Dyersburg to introduce a new sweet glazed mustard with Rendezvous seasoning in it. It will really go great with a sandwich. I still recommend adding slaw. My grandfather had a hot dog stand on Beale Street in 1916, and we've come full circle using his slaw on our hot dogs. Hope to see you this Friday at the Rendezvous.
In the alley in downtown Memphis.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-561-6198. 800-561-6198. 800-561-6198. Again, that's 800-561-6198.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour of the Experience is brought to you by Mid-South Power Distributors. All things diesel for over 26 years. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
With another man.
I don't think this is soft rock. Is this song from this decade, though?
Yeah.
Yes. No.
It's not?
It is not from this
It is
decade.
not. You're right.
And I will tell you why I know that, and it is very embarrassing. I did this song in middle school at a talent show, and I did a mic dip, and then the mic stand broke in half while I did the mic dip. And
We're coming back to that topic. We are. We got people on the phone lines. I don't want to keep waiting, but we are definitely coming back to that, Clayton.
Daniel Powder.
Welcome back again.
One-hit wonder.
Clayton every day has told me something new about himself, and it blows my mind. Thank you guys for listening to the Experience. CJ Hurt, Zach Boyd on the other side. We talked some about Tigers basketball and the booing of KJ Lawson. A couple people want to talk about that. Let's get things started with Tony. Tony, my man, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? Let me tell you guys, man, and this is just how Memphis fans are. First, you get a double bird, and then you go to Kansas. That's a no-no. You don't go to Kansas, and you don't go to Tennessee. The Memphis fans ain't going to change that. You can't do those. You can't do those things because the way we lost to Kansas, and what Memphis fans put their program out there. There's a lot of pride out there. Now, I wouldn't boo a young man, but I'm just telling you how Memphis fans roll. And Memphis do have this mentality. It's us against everybody. They already feel some kind of way for years about the NC2A and how they done this program when they've made it to the Final Four that they haven't done to other programs. So, hey, man, I'm telling you, one thing you guys are not, that won't happen, you're not going to change Memphis fans' mindset when it comes to their university over there. And you do not. If you're a Memphian, it's just a few places. You don't go to Louisville, you don't go to Kansas, and you don't go to Tennessee.
Yeah,
See,
but Tony, like that doesn't make sense because this is a college.
You're not a real Memphian. You don't understand.
No,
you don't
I
understand the pride.
I don't understand that part.
You get on the radio talking Michigan. You can't do that in Memphis. You will never be the number one radio show. I'm going to tell you straight out.
That's fine.
Because of the fact of the pride that the people in Memphis have about their program. If you talk about their basketball program all day, oh, man, your phones will be off the hook. Memphis fans take pride in what they got here. There's no other program to us around here. You know, Ole Miss got a big alumni, but most of those fans, they football fans are Ole Miss or Tennessee football fans, but they Memphis basketball fans in a large case. But it's a certain pride. When you go out of town, when I go to L.A., and you see people from Memphis, you know them because they got their Memphis gear on. You go to Dallas, it's the same way. Memphis fans have a certain pride, but you cannot go to Kansas. You cannot go to Louisville. And you better not go to Tennessee if you want to make it in this town.
So,
because otherwise, that basketball legend that you was, it's kaput. They'll forget you quick.
So Tony, let me ask you. So it's not necessarily the leaving Memphis because I feel like this is one where whether it's a Memphis situation or not, like, you know, they got rid of his dad as a coach and he left the same year.
No, the dad left on his own. His dad didn't want the job because he got basically demoted, and I don't blame him.
Right.
Tubby didn't have a clue what he was doing. Coach Cal understood something. Love Memphis and it'll love you back. But to make him the player personnel with all the talent that he had, you had people sitting on your bench that was poo-poo that couldn't even get out and recruit. Tubby had no clue on what the temperature of Memphis was. It was best he took his hat and get on out of town.
Right. Well, that was
because he was
also
going to get run out of town.
that was also a money decision with Memphis because they were not hitting the turnstile count and they were losing a ton of money as well. So it made sense
that's
from a
because
financial
Tubby,
point too. Yeah.
But that was because Tubby did not understand the temperature
You're right.
of their program. And again, Keelan left on his own because he felt like Tom Bourne lied to him.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around this program. I'm 53. I've been around the program since I was 3. My uncle was the guy that, Leonard Draper, was the guy that university came to get black players after they saw Western Texas win a national championship, which is Texas El Paso. So they understood that they had better change some things. That brought this city together. Out of all the racial tensions and King assassination, that culture of that university has always been the thing that have brought University of Memphis, citizens of Memphis together across racial lines. But again, the pride that it had, it's just certain things you don't do. And the way Memphis had lost that national championship to Kansas, and then, like I said, KJ didn't make it easy on himself by doing the double bird. It was the way he left. Like I said, I don't condone it. I was glad to see a young man have a good game, but I also was glad to see them lose because I'm a Memphis fan. There ain't no pride in losing around here. There ain't no pride in being in second place, and there ain't no pride if you go to one of the teams that we don't like. That's just blue. That blue blood is in us.
All right, Tony, man. Appreciate the call, brother. Take care. Gotta go to Mike real fast before we get to the break. Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah, I think you guys are just, by the way, it's not the city, it's the Tiger fans, and it's like Tony Harris back in the 90s. You guys weren't anywhere in town, but he was the number one recruit in town. Looked like he was going to Memphis, and he went to Tennessee. Now, Tony came back in town. We played him. He thought everybody cheered him, got his ass booed. And that's the way it is. You're either with us or against us. That's the Tiger fans. I mean, you don't give the double bird. Maybe you meant it towards Tubby, but most people took it as he was doing it towards the Tigers. And that was a put down. I mean, you wouldn't have somebody date your sister and show up the next Sunday after he dropped her like nothing had happened, you know?
Mm.
I mean, you're acting like it's a city thing, and you act the guy, fine, farewell. I don't know what it would be up in Michigan. One thing I was going to talk about, you probably won't touch today, in this decade that the city did when they bought the AutoZone Stadium for about $25 million bucks. They got a stadium that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars for $25 million. And that was a hell of a steal.
And it kept the Redbirds in town with that purchase, if I'm not mistaken.
I was going to ask you, and I was great, and you might know this too. Since the 901 is playing there, do they pay more rent money to the city, or do you know? Or
that I don't.
Is that another revenue stream?
That I don't know, Mike. I'd imagine that rent would go somewhere. I'll try and find that out for you. I appreciate the call, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, Memphis fans don't like that, but I still don't get it, man. I don't. I can't understand that you. I know that you don't want kids from Memphis going to rival schools.
Well, I understand, and in this situation, it hurt Memphis when the Lawsons left, but it was part of an exodus. I mean, what was it? It was like 5 of the top 8 or something like that.
And that was part of the reason that Memphis had to move on from Tubby. Like it wasn't. They weren't leaving because of Memphis. I could understand if the Lawsons said, you know what, Memphis is a crummy ass city, I'm out. But that's not what they said. And KJ said as much last night, like he wants a house here. This is home for him.
I mean,
it was because of Tubby and what happened there.
Markel Crawford left for Ole Miss, and he still seems like a beloved figure, or at least a respected figure around here. I mean, when he was getting looked at by the Grizzlies in the G League and everything, I mean, it didn't really seem like there was a whole lot of hate at all for him. Granted, he didn't play Memphis when they was Ole Miss, but I mean, he's in your backyard. It's a rivalry.
Listen, I don't.
I just don't understand why there's the hate there, where it's not for
it when we know why he left. Like it is one thing to I get the double bird. I had forgotten about the double bird. Also, thank you, Tony, for reminding me about that. I get the part about the double bird, but we know. I felt like we knew who that double bird was towards, and it was not towards the city. We gotta take a break. We're late for a break. Coming back. We're going to talk to J.D. Duran. We're going to get into this movie scene right here on The Experience with CJ and Clayton Collier filling in on Real Sports Talk Sports 56 96.1, 87.7.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
And the coach calls timeout. Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hi, folks. Good news from the Sunrise Sheriff. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch is 12 years old, so fire up the old jalopy and get on down here, because there's a saving shindig going on at sunrisememphis.com. Acres of new Chevys, huge discounts, 0% financing, and savings up to $13,000. Bad credit, it's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. Need body work? Bring it to Sunrise. The Sunrise Sheriff has put an end to high prices, and the word's out. Chevys cost less at Sunrise. 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000. Find new roads.
The ARS Rescue Rooter National Hoop Fest, presented by Conway Services Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, is coming. It's 3 days of great high school basketball to kick off the new year right here in Hoop City, January 2nd through the 4th. The action starts Thursday at Christian Brothers as CBHS hosts their fellow Christian Brothers from St. Louis. Friday the 3rd brings 4 games at Briarcrest Christian School and 2 more at Olive Branch High School. And then Saturday features great basketball throughout the day with 6 games at Briarcrest starting at 12:30 in the afternoon. It's your chance to see top teams from around the country do battle with the best of Memphis and see some of the nation's top recruits, including 19 top 50 recruits. It's the ARS Rescue Rooter National Hoop Fest, presented by Conway Services Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, January 2nd through the 4th. 3 days of great high school basketball. See the full schedule and get tickets at nationalhoopfest.com.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour of the experience is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
It's too late. Who's gonna tell
Welcome back. Soft Rock Tuesday. Rolling along here on the experience. CJ and Clayton got you. Zach on the ones and twos. We're going to talk to In Session Films, J.D. Durant in just a moment. Last night, the Florida Gators knocked off Virginia in the Orange Bowl. LaMichael Pirine went 61 yards in the first minute and did not look back, did not slow down. 13 carries, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns as the Florida Gators knock off Virginia Cavaliers 36-28. The Memphis Tigers on the hardwood knocked off the Green Wave 84-73. We had a thrilling conversation about KJ Lawson and the booing of KJ, and how and why Memphis fans feel agitated by KJ Lawson and the way he departed. We can get back into that in just a moment, but now we're going to talk to In Session Films, J.D. Durant. Follow him on Twitter at In Sessions Films and at Real JD. What's going on, JD? Real JD Durant, excuse me.
Hey.
What's up?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Great. It's nice to hear your voice again. We used to talk to you every week on Happy Hour. It's good to talk to you now, though. And the decade in movies just start off real simple, real easy. What do you think this decade is going to be most remembered for, from a movie standpoint?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I think that's a great question. There are certainly two ways to look at this. What will define the decade when it comes to film, and what are the best films? I think those are two separate questions, although they somewhat correlate together with one another. Because I think the film that will come to define the decade is one of the best, but the defining film, I think, ironically, is one of the one of the first films to come out this decade, back in 2010, in David Fincher's The Social Network. When we look at the power of social media in our lives, how Facebook has defined or has been in the news so much since 2010, The Social Network is just one of those films that in 50 years people will look back as one of the best films of all time, one of the best films of this century for sure. And it's a powerhouse. It's a knockout of a film. Still holds a lot of weight today, a lot of relevance to it as well. And just in terms of its craft and everything that comes with it, the direction of Fincher, the performances, the score, everything's still as good as it was back in 2010. So for me, I would say that film, and maybe, this is kind of a slight change from that, but Mad Max Fury Road, I think, is going to become one of those defining films of the decade as well, in terms of how different big, bombastic, blockbuster filmmaking can be. Because that film does have its CGI, but most of it is practical. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a switch in that a little bit with some films anyway, since Mad Max Fury Road came out. And I think those two, and it's also just hard to ignore Marvel altogether, right? I mean, we're in a superhero craze right now. And even though that it started with Iron Man in 2008, it rolled into this decade and snowballed, of course, crystallizing with Endgame earlier in the year. So it's hard to remove Marvel from the conversation as well.
You brought up Mad Max Fury Road, and one of the things that I really enjoyed about that movie, one of my favorite movies from the decade, was that it was a change in who the narrative was centered around. I feel like we've made that switch from being a narrative focused on white men to a narrative focused on different types of characters. So in Mad Max Fury Road, it is this cast of women doing all these really cool, really badass things in this dystopian universe. And you think about what's happened with, and brought a Marvel, Black Panther, and the superheroes with Wonder Woman and Moonlight. I feel like we've got more of these stories being told through the lenses of different types of people. And I was going to ask, do you think that is the case?
Absolutely. I think Oscars So White and Me Too are a couple of political movements that have defined film in a lot of ways as well, no doubt about it. Moonlight, you briefly mentioned there, that film it's not only incredible, it's not only deserving of Best Picture, but it has paved the way for other films that feature Black leads, whether it be big films or small films, and of course the gay community as well. It's opened more doors for those kinds of films, and it's been very exciting. And you think back at something like Carol back in 2015, I think that started to pave the way for more of that as well. So I do think that we are starting to shift a little bit in terms of that. I would still love to see more opportunities for female filmmakers. There's been a lot of controversy with the Oscars and the Golden Globes about it being a male-dominated category when it comes to Best Director, even though we have tons and tons of wonderful female filmmakers that could be nominated, that should be nominated, and aren't. So there's still, once we get into the next decade, maybe 10 years from now when we're having this conversation, we'll be adding to this list. But no doubt that in this decade, there has been a severe shift that has been exciting, that's led to more opportunities from, whether it be minority directors or actors or whatever the case may be. And that has been exciting. because previously, even in 2010, a lot of those doors were closed.
Talking here with JD Duran. JD, when you look at recently what Martin Scorsese said about Marvel movies, talking about this decade, how impactful they've been. He referred to them as amusement parks. This decade started with Iron Man 2, and it in 2018, towards the end of it, their first Oscar nomination with Black Panther. Do you think that some of these movies are starting, the action type ones are starting to get more of that respect than they had been? I know that Martin Scorsese not so much, but
I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Yeah,
I cried in Endgame several times. It's great to me.
When are we able to talk spoilers now?
Can we? Zach, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
don't
Spoiler
spoil
alert. Wait, everybody be quiet. Spoiler alert. All right, Clayton, go ahead.
When Tony Stark's proof that Tony has a heart is floating, that's where I lost it.
Yes. Oh, such good movies, man. Why would anybody hate on those? But I don't know. That's Scorsese.
But
well, I think that's a really great question. I do think the Martin Scorsese thing is a separate conversation because that's more about what's being played in theaters versus the quality of a film. But I do think that the thing with Marvel is they've been consistent with the quality, and with Endgame, you're right. That moment with Tony there at the end, it is very powerful, and a lot of that is just because of the craft. It's because of Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. It's the score. It's 10 years of building to this moment. So I do think that the quality is there, and the Academy is starting to recognize that more and more. I don't know if they'll end up going for Endgame in any sort of way outside of some of its technical categories or not. But yeah, I do think that given how much money these movies make, how people are drawn to them, because obviously they make gobs and gobs of money, so they're very popular. It's hard to ignore that. It's very, very hard to ignore that. Similar this year with Joker, the Academy is going to have to wrestle with that. That's $1 billion film that a lot of people like, regardless of controversy. So, I think Marvel is certainly transcending the genre in that way, and obviously historically, it's not a kind of film that the Academy typically goes for. So, and that's why for me earlier when we first started talking, as far as defining this decade, you can't remove Marvel. You just can't.
So one of the things about Marvel is the sheer size and magnitude of that cinematic universe. When you think about, we've talked about, Clayton brought it up, you brought it up, 2008, you get Iron Man, but 2010 you get Iron Man 2, and then you got all the Thor movies and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther and Captain America. Yeah. You've got all of these really cool, fun, dynamic characters in this universe. And now we are seeing DC, which makes sense. They're another comic book superhero type entity. So, of course, they would. But, like, Harry Potter's doing it. Star Wars has their universe as well. Is this now, will we look back and say, hey, this was the start of like these universes that movie companies really want and pay big time money for?
As far as expansive, large universes, absolutely. Obviously, Hollywood has done sequels and reboots and things of that nature before you brought up Harry Potter. That started in the early 2000s. So, Hollywood has been doing this for a while, but Marvel opened up a whole new door. And that I can make a separate film here, and then I can make a separate film over here, and a third film over here on this side, and then I can bring all of these films together in another movie way over here. Like that had never been done before, which is it's still kind of crazy to me that they made that work. And then people have tried to follow that, and no one else has figured it out. Warner Brothers hasn't figured it out with whatever properties that they've tried to. Sony's the same. Like, no one has been able to tap into it in a way that Marvel has. But I don't think that train is going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, it is.
That is, as far as what we're going to see in cinemas over the next 10 years, I think that's mostly what we're going to be seeing, which is probably why Martin Scorsese is a bit dubious. But that's why, when you look back at this decade, I mean, maybe Marvel is the defining thing of it. The more we talk about it here.
When I brought up Harry Potter, I was just thinking of the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
Right.
The fact that the movie is over with, Harry Potter's journey is done. But like you said, hey, we can take this little part in the book right here, the part where he's got the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them book, and we can tell the story about how that's being made. And then we can go to other books in the Harry Potter universe and branch off and tell those stories. It is fascinating to me that we are able to do that now. Nobody, like you said, nobody had thought about that before. Now we're talking to In Session Films, JD Duran. Follow him at In Session Films or at Real JD Duran. JD, what was the signature? You talked about the signature movie coming earlier in the decade. What is for you one of the other signature movies from the decade? Is it Moonlight? Is it what is it? Three Billboards Over Missouri. Which one is
Ebbing, Missouri.
Ebbing, Missouri. Excuse me.
So Moonlight is a great one. It's hard to deny that one. Excuse me. The film for me, The film for me though goes back to 2011, and that is Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life. It is a masterpiece, and for me, one of the best films of all time. In fact, I have it ranked in my top 10 of all time. I think it's that good. And I've wrestled heavily with this since then. And part of it is this film has amplified for me since becoming a parent myself. And it's hard to recommend to everybody because it is very artistic. It's very poetic. It's not a linear film by any means. And so it's a film about a family in Texas in the 1950s, but it's also a film that features dinosaurs and the birth of the universe. Both of those things are in this film. So it's, I say that, you hear it on its face and you're like, what in the world? That sounds so weird and strange. And it kind of is, but there's a lot of thematic purpose to how Terrence Malick shapes and formulates all of that to really talk about these ideas of nature versus nurture. And from a parenting perspective, obviously, a lot of parents listening, I mean, they know that's that part of every day of their lives. And Terrence Malick is getting to those ideas in a very profound way that is very, very moving and elegant and cinematic. It's one of the most beautifully shot films of the decade, if not the best shot film of the decade.
What's it called again, JD?
It's called The Tree of Life.
Okay.
And it's one of those that for people that don't watch movies a ton, maybe it's hard to recommend to those people, but simply from an artistic perspective, from a film perspective, to me, that is the film of the decade, hands down.
So if that is one of the movies of the decade, what's the put you on the spot here? What's the worst movie for the decade? Because I have mine. I definitely have mine, JD. I watched Escape from Tomorrow. Indie Memphis Film Festival has a lot of great movies that come in every single year. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And Escape from Tomorrow came out in 2013. And it's supposed to be a sci-fi horror film filmed in Disney World using phones. I think it was when phone cameras first got to be like a real big deal. And it was not good. It was horrible. It hurt my eyes, hurt my soul. First date I took my wife to was to see that movie. And after that, she revoked my privileges of picking out movies for the rest of eternity.
That's a hard question for me, honestly, because I don't do any sort of worst of the year list or anything like that. I don't really put any of that together. So off the top of my mind, oh man, it's really hard to say.
You could take mine. We can all be on Escape for Tomorrow. It is that bad.
I have my entry, which is Pirates of the Caribbean 5.
Oh, you hater.
Okay. You like that?
Another expansive universe. Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, well, now they're planning to reboot and actually get away from Johnny Depp and Captain Jack Sparrow and all that. But they completely turned away from anything that was any precedent from the movies previous, and I can go on and on about that.
No,
that's a good one.
I like Captain Sparrow.
Yeah, but
his time is up, Zach.
His story's been told. They had him drunk being dragged by a safe in the 5th movie, starting it out. I think that's
it.
Yeah,
Like we're done with Jack.
Yeah.
Jack is over with. Go watch the first 4 of those. Zach, it's great for you. I'm
The
not saying
first-
don't like them.
First 3.
First 3.
The fourth was,
First 3
was starting to take the dive. How do you have a pirate movie without a single ship battle in the 4th movie? That's my thing.
Yeah.
JD,
that was a weird movie.
one of the things that this decade also did was bring back, I feel like, documentaries and make them more mainstream. Like we've always had documentaries, but the mainstream qualities of a documentary about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, one about Whitney Houston's life. It was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like the popularity and just mainstream culture of a lot of these documentaries is something that really shocked me about this decade. Is this something that you think is a trend that is going to continue?
I hope so. I'm so glad you bring that up because that is an element of film that can often be forgotten. But documentary has made a pretty big, has really risen in prominence in the mainstream. And maybe that's because of how, we have all this access to film now, and maybe that's why. But I'm so glad that documentaries are getting more and more into the discourse, because you're right. Won't You Be My Neighbor, I think, is one of the best films of last year, period, regardless of form. Or I go back to 2013. There were 2 great documentaries that year, one being The Act of Killing, a film out of Indonesia. There was another film called Stories We Tell is the name of that one. And both of those are phenomenal documentaries. There was one in 2016 called Tower that is one of the most unique documentaries I've ever seen, and how it uses animation and coloration to tell a very real and tragic story. There's been so many great documentaries out of the last few years. Jane in 2017. I don't know if many people saw that film, but that one was absolutely phenomenal on Jane Goodall. So yeah, there's been a resurgence of docs, especially over the last 5-6 years for sure, that have gotten into the mainstream. That has been great. And Netflix has scooped up a bunch as well that we can talk about.
The 13th is outstanding.
13th? Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of the most important documentaries of the decade, hands down. Love that film. So, yeah, I think with streaming, giving people access, I don't see that going away anytime soon. And that is exciting for me.
Now, I will say one thing that we haven't talked about that's a defining moment of this decade in movies is Leonardo DiCaprio trying really hard.
Oh, he got it, though.
And then finally getting it. But honestly, I saw The Revenant being the one that got him an Oscar. I feel like the Academy was just like, okay, this guy just dragged himself through the snow for 2.5 hours. This guy's going to end up hurting himself.
Eating actual bear hearts.
Yeah, all right, here, take it. Just stop trying that hard on it. It was terrific. I'm not knocking him on it at all. But it was at that point, it was like, how much more do I have to do?
So what does surprise you about when we look at the awards, JD, from what was the decade?
Well, first of all, I'm going to go to bat for Leo because I do think that is his best performance of the decade.
Really? Okay.
I think it's great. Yes. Yes. And I don't think it has anything to do with because of what he ate or what he went through in the elements. That does lend authenticity, but so much of that film is really getting, to these ideas of mercy and faith and revenge and survival. And I think all of that is in the spirit of what Leo brings to that film, because he obviously doesn't say much throughout the film. It's all in real subtlety. And I think there's pain behind his eyes and pain behind his performance that taps into not only what he's going through physically, but emotionally and spiritually. And I think that it's beautiful. It's one of his most elegant performances. And whether he ate raw bison and fish, I don't really care. That's a narrative that the media spins, but there's way more to that performance than that. So and it's not as redundant as something like The Wolf of Wall Street, where he gets on a stage and he screams for 50 times in a movie. So,
but it's what he said.
So I do love that.
All right, JD.
Sorry, go ahead.
We got to run, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We didn't even get to talk about all the cartoons that came out. My gosh, they were great this year.
Inside Out, baby.
Inside Out, Toy Story 4 got me. Oh, so many
How
of
to
them.
Train Your Dragon.
The wife and I watched the TV show now. Like, we're so hooked on How to Train Your
nice.
Dragon that we watch the TV show. Boss Baby also. Just a great decade from the cartoon standpoint as well. JD, thank you so much for joining us. You take care, all right?
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you.
That was JD Duran. Follow him on Twitter at Real JD Duran and at In Sessions Film. When we get back, we'll dive back in to some of this Memphis Tigers basketball talk, and we'll also make the pivot and talk about football as well, not just Tigers, but in the area. It was a great decade for Mid-South football teams everywhere. And by everywhere, I mean in the Mid-South. This decade. We'll also read your texts and take your phone calls. You're listening to The Experience right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Check out Dave Voloshin and Brett Norsworthy with Sports Time. Weekdays from 3 till 6 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
We could stay here forever. We deliver olives, Greek sandals, and everything you need to relive that perfect trip to the Mediterranean. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx delivery.
Memories. What we deliver by delivering.
Join in underground at the Lounge at 3rd and Court for the best music Memphis has to offer. Brought to you by Sweetgrass, Sunrise, and 117 Prime. Upgrade your music experience with a true Memphis sound. Check out John Williams and the A440 Band playing classic Memphis Soul every Friday night. Every Sunday at 7 p.m., Joe Restivo presents Soul Jazz Trios featuring artists like Pat Fusco on organ or even the City Champs. This Saturday, January 4th, John Paul Keith is ringing in the new year. Show starts at 9. So kick back, enjoy dinner out at the diner, and then head downstairs to the Lounge at 3rd and Court.
Hey, check out this report of our Office 365 email and the threats sitting in users' inboxes.
Wow, how did you get this?
There's a free tool called Barracuda Email Threat Scanner that can quickly and safely scan our Office 365 email for hidden threats like spear phishing and domain fraud.
Really?
Yeah, Barracuda Email Threat Scanner identifies hidden threats and employees most at risk for a cyber attack, all summarized in a complete report.
This is great.
Get your free email threat scan now at barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselimbembrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
For over 25 years, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 has been bringing you great local sports talk. With 13 hours of local talk daily, we continue to be Memphis's local sports leader. The day starts with Keith Parker and Elliot Wender on the press box from 6 to 7, followed by the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt from 7 to 10. Sports 56 middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy takes you through lunch from 10 until 1. And then, John Harden brings you Johnny Radio's Happy Hour from 1 to 3. 3. Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy drive you home every afternoon with Sports Time with Wolo and Stats from 3 till 6. And John Rennie wraps up the day with Southern Sports Report from 6 to 7 before we turn things over to Fox Sports Radio to get you through the evening. We also bring you Ole Miss sports, NFL football, and the NCAA basketball tournament. Don't miss anything. Keep your radio locked in right here on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour of the Experience is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Welcome back. Welcome back in. We just had a great conversation about the decade that was in movies with movie critic J.D. Duran of In Session Films. Give him a follow at In Session Films. Text it in. The Revenant was rough. That movie made me feel cold and tired, and it was in August in Memphis. Like, yeah, The Revenant can hit you that way.
It was August when you saw it, but I think the movie came out in like the first week of January.
No matter when you watch it.
No, I know.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
that
was a
great
rough movie. It was a great movie. Picture-wise, but it was rough.
You felt that pain. You felt every bit of DiCaprio's performance in that movie, and I guess JD is right. I'm not the critic, though. JD said it's his best performance. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know. All I know is my man is out here, true or not. Story is he's eating raw animals.
Yeah.
Like, give him something before he hurts himself. We talked some in the very first segment of the show. If you missed that or any portion of the show, you can check us out on sports56whbq.com in the podcast tab or on your Sports 56 WHBQ app. Listen to that part of the show or any part of this show or any other show you may have missed. We talked about the Grizzlies and what the decade will be remembered for from that standpoint, from that perspective. Texas in. CJ, this past decade has been an evolution for the Grizzlies. It started with them transitioning from laughingstock to playoff team. Grit and grind had a wonderful run. Like everything else in life, it also had to come to an end. The end of this decade is a wonderful segue to our upcoming decade. Ja, Jaren, Dylan, DeAnthony, Clark, and Grayson give us help for the future. Jonas is instrumental to the improvement, as is Kyle. My God, this is a long text. As a longtime season ticket holder, I am excited about our upcoming Grizzlies decade. Yo, you really excited. Since all of that, I like that text. Other texters have texted in as well. We talked about the booing of Lawson when he got back to Memphis' first game back in Memphis since leaving and giving the double bird. Concerning the booing, I don't agree with it at all, but you have to remember the video he posted when he left for Kansas. The fans obviously remembered. Yes, they do. Another texter points out those comments after they left while Tubby was still coach and the double birds. Speaking to why I didn't understand why the boos were coming down. Keelan leaving was the main reason for, I guess, the two guys transferring, the two players, the two Lawsons transferring. Another texter points out, you give my school 2 middle fingers, you're getting booed, buddy. All right.
See, but here, let me just say this real quick. When a guy leaves, like, I get being upset, especially with how passionate Memphis fans are. But when you have a hometown guy who's, your university, your team is not doing right by them necessarily, do you expect them to just, muddle on through that necessarily when they have a better opportunity there? I get it's at Kansas, which is a rough spot for Memphis, and I get the double birds as well is not a good look. But you're also dealing with, what, a 20-year-old kid at the time?
Maybe.
It's still your guy in your city that's coming back, and if it wasn't for your hometown team not doing right by them, he'd still be there.
I'm not saying cheer him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, don't boo.
Right. No.
Transferring, another texter points out, transferring doesn't matter. Only thing that fans would probably boo is if the player goes to, like Tony said, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Louisville, Kansas. So those schools get you booed immediately, no
Mario
matter what.
Chalmers never got booed here in Memphis. I don't get it. Mario Chalmers is the guy who hit the shot. He didn't get booed.
He was playing for the Grizzlies, though.
I know. But he didn't get booed?
I thought he did at first.
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too.
I don't think Mario Chalmers, when he suited up for the Grizzlies, got booed. I don't think
that's
so.
what I was referring to.
I think that was his first game in Memphis that he went off. I can't remember who they played, but he went off in that was that fourth quarter for them to win, and he got the stop late.
Yeah.
And then he yelled in the stands like, "It's like I'm in this." You know what? So I think that kind of like flipped the switch. Like, okay,
he's one of us now. He's
one of us.
He's ours now.
Like,
got to make it work.
All is forgiven for now, but he's one of us.
So okay. So now I'm getting some clarification on this, because here's what I thought, and I thought we were all on the same page with this, that it was not the Lawson kids who were the issue. I thought that we had all settled on Tubby Smith as the issue, and when he's walking off the court with the two birds in the air, I thought that I took it to be directed at one person, not necessarily the Tigers basketball program. Was that one person the head coach of the basketball program? Sure. But at the end of the day, Tigers fan wanted Tubby Smith out because he had ran off the Lawsons, because he was not in the conversation for an A-Lo, and was struggling to lock down Tyler Harris, and because he wasn't in this chase for a James Wiseman or some of the top recruits in the nation, specifically the ones in the area. Memphis fans looked up and said, hey, 2019, we're going to have a good crop of kids in the city. 2021, we're going to have a good crop of kids in the city. This guy's not going to be in the hunt for any of those. So we've got to make a change and get somebody who can go out there and get a 2021 Lawson, who can go get a 2019 Wiseman. And so I thought that's where we settled on the double bird, but clearly I was mistaken.
Can we just agree that booing guys from your city that are, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys, I mean, granted, I think KJ's a little older than that now, but it's just a bad idea, and let's try not to do that going forward?
I don't know if we can, because Tigers fans are like, no, you go to one of these schools because of the history, you're probably getting booed. Let's talk to Mike. Mike wants to chime in on the Lawson conversation. Mike, what's going on?
What's happening with you, man?
Nah, I can't call it, Mike.
Man, it's amazing how the people in Memphis tend to forget. Keenan Lawson used his son's ability to leverage assistant coaching job at the University of Memphis. He would always say he's bringing 4 kids, and there are so many kids in the city of Memphis that want to play ball with his sons and all around the country, and he's going to be this big-time recruiter, which never panned out. You come to find out there were a lot of kids from the city of Memphis on the team and playing high school ball that didn't want to play with his son. He's such a big-time coach. Why hadn't he gotten a job somewhere else? He tried that deal at Tennessee. The coach we had at that time wouldn't go for it, to hire him as a coach to bring his sons. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that Lawson deal in the background, man, that the average fans don't know about. So just leave that whole deal alone, man. You got a good coach. The guy you had is gone. I think the fans in Memphis need to quit living in the past so much and come to the future in the present day. Holloway's doing his thing, man. He's doing what he should be doing. It's a bad situation that the kid got booed, but you got to look at the way the Lawsons have acted and behaved in some of this stuff too, man. You just can't all throw it on Tubby Smith, because it takes two people to tango, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That whole situation with Smith and Penny Hardaway should have been handled a whole lot different. You and I had this conversation last year, a couple of years ago, and a lot of people just don't understand. Tubby Smith was recruiting James Wiseman when he was a 9th grader, and he did go out and try to recruit some kids, but Tubby's just not a good recruit. He don't have that oomph. You know what I'm saying? And he just doesn't have it when it comes to recruiting these top flight type kids. So Memphis made the right choice. I just think I hear so many people brag on these Lawson kids, but every one of those kids is a ball player's flawed. They're not very athletic, and they don't shoot the basketball well. So that's why of the 4 kids, you probably eventually will not see any of them playing in the NBA, because they're very unathletic kids. I've always thought the younger boy was the better one, because he can shoot the basketball a little bit better than the other kids, but for being athletic, that's the thing that holds them back. They're not very athletic. You guys have a blessed day. Go UT Vols. We're the best football team in the state of Tennessee.
Mike, why? Thanks for calling in, Mike. We appreciate the phone call. Texas have texted in on the First Bank text line 67129. If you crap on this town, they will pick it up and throw it back for a long, long time. Very true. When Mario came, there were a bunch, and I mean a bunch, who wanted a refund on their season tickets, me included. Okay. All right. I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know.
Well, see, the thing about, I think, because you got kind of have to like split this into two different situations. With Chalmers' thing, it's a championship game. He hits the three. You know, you're gonna feel some type of way because it's a championship game. You was right there. But with the KJ situation, this is more of head coach, assistant coach who has sons playing basketball, couldn't figure out what the role is going to be, and then that's how the breakup happened. Like, so
well, and let's not pretend that Keelan's like, that he's saying that leveraging it, like, it's not like he was some schmo off the, like, he just said he'd won a state championship at Hamilton. He just won a state championship with his sons at Wooddale as well. So I mean, the guy's a basketball like a mind when it comes to coaching for sure. And he's brought up now 4 kids who can play basketball at a very high level of college. And now in Diedrich's case into G League as well.
Texted in. KJ was talking crap the whole game. So if you don't think he would have stuck it in our face and he would have, when he won, should he have won, then you're crazy. Quit making Memphis fans out to be bad. Okay.
Everybody talks crap in basketball. Who doesn't?
Football. As we make this seamless transition, Tigers football from the decade had a different sort of trajectory where it's been a steady increase to what may or may not be a pinnacle moment in the Cotton Bowl at the end. You have to think that it starts with Larry Porter and those football seasons of, I'm going to say be nice and say futility. And then they go out there and they get a guy in Justin Fuente who I don't know anything about at the time. I don't know how many people did know about about Justin Fuente at the time of his hire. He was a co-offensive coordinator down at TCU. TCU was really, really good. And so you're like, okay, well, they're going out there and getting a guy from a winning program, cool, but what can he do here? Can he turn this thing around? What actually can this guy who nobody knows anything about do here at Memphis after going through the years that they had? Not just the Larry Porter saga, but the years before Porter got there. Like, what happens? What can this guy do? This is a program that is a coach-killing program. Nobody wants to be here, and all Justin Fuente does is go out there in that first year, go 4-8, second year 3-9, 10-3, tied for first, co-champions in the conference, 9-3 the following year. That was a team that I do believe knocked off Ole Miss when Ole Miss was ranked as well. And so you're, oh my gosh, he's done a great job. Go ahead, go on to Virginia Tech. You'll be straight. But how does Memphis keep this thing rolling? They go out there and they get another offensive coordinator from this time Arizona State, co-offensive coordinator by the name of Mike Norvell, who, again, I knew nothing about at the time of the hire. I'm not sure how many people knew anything about Mike Norvell at the time of the hire. And what did Mike Norvell do? 3 straight trips to the conference championship game, and the most wonderful, glorious, spectacular, best college football season ever by University of Memphis football program. 12 wins and a Cotton Bowl appearance with a conference championship, the first outright championship in 50 years or so.
Now, it was just before the decade began, and I've harped on this probably a little bit too much, but I just think this is so interesting that Tommy West gets fired and he says put something into the program or just do away with it.
It's like painful.
That is just a shocking moment to me. Like, you don't see that in many other places around the country, that a coach just blatantly says just that. Like, just invest in this program or just pack up shop. And that was 10 years ago, and now you are here with a Cotton Bowl after that. Like, they obviously they put something into it, but to see the growth that they've had is remarkable, to go from that low point and then, as you said, just a direct relationship on the line graph going straight up.
I guess the Grizzlies started low, up, back down, and beginning to change the trajectory back up. The Tigers football program, about just a straight line, just from here, just straight on up.
Yep,
that is what they're doing.
It's a 45-degree angle.
Is that what the angle is?
Probably. Let's go with that.
Sure. Why not? Why not?
Or a 90-degree angle for this year with how they shot up and they were able to go and make the Cotton Bowl as well. And and the adversity that they faced in that, ahead of that game as well. And they believe we have some news about a couple new hires being reported.
Yeah, Evan Barnes for the Commercial Appeal. He's a beat guy. We love Evan Barnes over here on this program. Is reporting that David Glidden, is it Glidden? I'm going to say Glidden is expected to be hired as Memphis' next tight ends coach. Glidden has been a Memphis assistant for the past 2 seasons as a quality control assistant and is considered a bright young offensive mind. Also, former Memphis defensive back Reggie Howard is also expected to be named Director of High School Relations. Howard spent 6 seasons in the NFL after graduating from the University of Memphis. So that coaching staff is getting filled out some as we speak now for Ryan Silverfield. And here's hoping that things continue on this just straight linear, just straight upward trajectory for the Tigers. We got to take a break. When we get back, we'll talk more about the decade that was in the Mid-South in football from some of the big-time programs around here. Memphis is now a big-time program, believe it or not. But from the Ole Misses and Mississippi States, the Arkansas and the Tennessees as well. You're listening to The Experience right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Get happy with Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know: Benswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswanger Glass in Midtown, located at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit their website, benswangerglass.com. Benswanger Glass.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle bells.
Funny thing about the holidays is, nothing flies by faster.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride to one horse open sleigh.
Well, actually, the Lexus December to Remember sales event also goes by fast. That's because for a very limited time, you'll find some of our best offers on our most popular models. But don't wait. Offers end January 2nd. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Lexus of Memphis.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who owes back taxes, if you get nervous when the mail comes because you might get a letter from the IRS, then you've heard. Their enforcement agents are cracking down this year and can garnish your paycheck, levy your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk over unpaid taxes. It's all true, but it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. The award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief will fight to get you the best deal possible, protecting your paycheck and your assets from IRS collections. But don't delay, because the IRS is tacking on interest and hefty penalties every single day. So don't wait until it's too late. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713. 800-748-5713.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurts. This hour of the Experience is brought to you by East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quincy White Station. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Welcome back in to the Experience. We were talking about the Lawson situation in the other segment. Texter has texted in. You can too, 67129 on the text line, or give us a call, 360-8255. Who do you think KJ was giving the bird to? I feel it was Memphis. I don't care how old he is. He's old enough to know what he was doing and know that it was bad. Okay. All right. Again, I didn't think it was at the city or even at the university. I thought it was at one particular person, and it was Stubby Smith. But, hey, you guys have explained it to me. I don't get it, but I'm going to rock with it. So as long as these kids don't go to Louisville, Kansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss.
But Markel Crawford went to Ole Miss.
Unless your name is Markel Crawford. Then there's as long as that doesn't happen, and don't give the double bird at anybody affiliated with the program, and I guess we're good. That's fine.
But see, but like you mentioned, Markel Scooter McFadden. Like he was a long time Tiger. He obviously, I don't think you guys was here in the city, but he played for the Tigers and he transferred to UT. I can't remember there was like any disdain.
How old were you?
I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
I was like 8 or 9.
Wouldn't know.
But I remember him transferring to Tennessee, and I was like, wait, he was with us. Like, what happened?
Like not to dismiss you because of age, but like when I was 8 or 9, everybody seemed cool. The world was great at 8 or 9. If I could go back to that world, I'd love it. I wonder what the grown-ups, the ultra passionate Tigers basketball fans, what they thought about that transfer process. We talked some about Tigers football and how they transitioned from really, really bad to this, which is really, really good. And they're not the only team in the area who in the Mid-South who made a great leap, either for the better or for the worse, a great leap in this decade. We can get things started because it's easy to do Arkansas, because right at the start of the decade, you are coming off of a Sugar Bowl appearance, a close game, a loss against Ohio State, where you finish the year ranked number 12 in the nation. You win the Cotton Bowl against Kansas State, and you're 5th in the nation as Arkansas in 2011. It's okay. Bobby Petrino has this thing figured out. 5-7, 8-5, 10-3, 11-2. Here we go. This is it. This is what's going to happen. Arkansas football is here. Not necessarily back, but it is here, and it is a legitimate threat to the national championship conversation. And they are one of the teams that's going to get to a national championship game before it's all said and done, led by Bobby Petrino. Wait, what? What was that? Bobby Petrino had a motorcycle accident. Oh, no. Oh, his mistress was on the back of it? Huh. He does a ridiculous-ass press conference with the neck brace on? Oh, they got to move on for Bobby. Bobby got to go, and then it's just been a lot of seasons. John Smith came through, and you don't want that guy to be your head coach. 4-8. The one season he was there in that interim role, it was a tough spot to be in also coming in because it was the change made like in the off season after all of the practices and stuff had been going on. John Smith had to come in and grab the reins, did the best he could with what he had and the opportunity he had. But 4-8, then you got Brett Bielema coming through. The Razorbacks haven't been ranked since 2011 when they were ranked number 5. And Chad Morris, 2-10 to start his tenure there. Things aren't looking necessarily up for the Razorbacks, and you hate that because that is a program, and Petrino showed it, that if they get the right person in there, they can really roll along. Ole Miss, on the other hand, is great. Ole Miss starts the decade, and it is Houston Nutt. They decide to make the change from Houston Nutt to a guy by the name of Hugh Freeze. And it's, where in the hell did they find this dude from Lambeth at? Lambeth? Okay. Briarcrest? I mean, okay. Sure, what can he do? Oh, get you ranked like top 10? Have that great showdown 1 versus 2 against Mississippi State? Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Never seen anything like that. Football in the state of Mississippi was rolling. It was great. It was fun. It was exciting. He was doing things we had never seen before, knocking off Alabama in back-to-back seasons, like finishing the year number 9 in the rankings. Like, that was so impressive. 10-3 in 2015. And then my man Larry Tunsil makes his stepdad mad. I don't know if it's stepdad. Somebody hacked him and sent out a post of him smoking with the gas mask. So the NCAA comes back in after concluding their investigation. They come back in to continue the investigation. They just lived in Oxford for a 3 or 4 year stretch. Finally, they get something on him from a recruiting standpoint, and they get something on, by him I mean Hugh Freeze, and then we find out that Hugh's been making naughty phone calls. So all of that, NCAA tries to take all of that away. They can't take the memories in our minds and in our hearts away, though. Down in Oxford, we know what happened. We know the results of those games. But the NCAA takes that away. Oxford, Ole Miss ends up having to let go of Hugh Freeze, unfortunately for them, and they're trying to get everything back, and they go out there and make a splash hire in Lane Kiffin to end the decade. Here's hoping that he can get them back to heights that they had with Hugh Freeze. Mississippi State brought them up briefly. Dan Mullen had this thing rolling, and they've been to a bowl game every year in this decade, which is really impressive for the Bulldogs. Dan Mullen had things rolling again. He was in that matchup as well, that 1 versus 2 matchup down in Oxford with Katy Perry there. The whole Mid-South was going insane, going crazy. Dan Mullen flipped that into a job down in Florida in 2017, and now they've got Joe Moorhead there trying to keep this thing rolling and get back to the heights of the SEC West. We got more to get to on the other side. We're going to talk with the homie Jarrett Boyd. That's what the JB is for. We're going to talk to him on the other side. We'll take a look back at the music scene, not just in Memphis, but nationally with JB on the other side. You're listening to The Experience right here on Real Sports Talk, 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM.
Soul Fish Cafe has done something that no other business in the history of Memphis has ever done. They won 3 different categories in the Memphis Most. They won it for the best catfish. We all know that's the best catfish, and you can get it fried like everybody does, or you could get it, if you wanted to, grilled or blackened. It's the best. Everybody says it. Then there's seafood. We know about their beautiful shrimp. You can get those fried. You can get them grilled. The shrimp tacos are terrific. Memphis Most, best seafood. Then there's soul food. Yes, a 3rd category, soul food. Their veggies are unbelievable. They've got this sauerkraut sausage Cajun dish that is amazing. I love the cucumber salad. Everything is always so fresh. And now, you know, there's 3 locations with a 4th one coming to Wolf Chase soon. The original Cooper Young, the shops of Forest Hill Irene, and of course the newest in East Memphis. That's on Poplar, just east of Perkins in the old Wolf Camera location. They're the best. You said it. They're Soulfish.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Embrace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Embrace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselimembrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Sundays and Mondays are special at the Butcher Shop, celebrating over 35 years of serving the Mid-South by giving a big thank you to you, their loyal customers. You can come in, relax, watch your favorite games, and enjoy hand-cut steaks along with a premium bar. Sunday and Monday nights from 5 until 8:30, you can get select entrees for $25. That includes a salad, baked potato, and bread, and you don't have to pick one, you get all three. Some of those entrees are 10-ounce New York strip steak, slow-roasted prime rib, Atlantic salmon with dill sauce, marinated grilled chicken breast, grilled boneless pork chops, and crab stuffed shrimp. Plus, all appetizers and desserts are 20% off. Don't forget, Hamburger Friday every Friday from 11 to 2. It's the best. The Butcher Shop, always a Memphis tradition. Call 901-757-4244, 901-757-4244 for more information, or just stop in at 107 South Germantown Parkway in Cordova.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's
Welcome back.
for you.
Welcome back to the Experience with CJ Hurt. Clayton Call, you're filling in. Zach is on the other side. We're going to talk some with JB in just a moment. It is warming up a little bit. Doppler Doohickey says it's 40 degrees out, highs in the 50s. No rain in sight, no clouds in sight. So when you're downtown or partying, wherever you party for New Year's Eve, for your New Year's Eve celebration, it's going to be, it's not going to be wet. Thank you guys for listening. And please remember, don't drink and drive. As somebody who has been hit by a drunk driver, let's not do that anymore. Scores from last night. Tulane falls to Memphis on the hardwood right here in Memphis, 84-73. The Tigers end up winning that game. Precious Achua walking double-double, 14 and 10. DJ Jeffries chipped in 14. Damian Bow chipped in 15. Lester Quiones and Tyler Harris went all from three. Tyler Harris chipped in 12 on 4 for 10 shooting from three, while Lester Quiones chipped in 16, 4 for 8 from three as well. Florida knocked off Virginia, got all that they could handle in that matchup against the Cavaliers. Florida won 36-28 behind P. Ryan's 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Tonight and today in college football, we've got all types of bowl games. This is, tomorrow really is, but this is the start of my favorite, sports day. I love New Year's Day football because it's usually, the bowl I get to see Michigan play in one, but it is Rose Bowl. I'm all the way here for Rose Bowl, but tonight you have Virginia Tech and Kentucky. Well, today, rather, Virginia Tech, Kentucky at 11. You got Florida State, Arizona State at 1 in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I love the fact that that is the name of that bowl. And at 2:45, you have Navy, Kansas State, right here in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl should be a lot of fun. We talked some about the trajectory of all these various programs, football and basketball wise, in the area. You had something, Clayton, you wanted to say before we get to JB.
So, I mean, you talked about Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, where their trajectory was throughout the decade. But when you look at Memphis, both as a city and then with the sports attached to it, you know, you hear a lot about momentum in a city on the rise, and it's definitely the case. But you look at what the sports in Memphis are doing, and it's more than just a city on the rise and more than on momentum. You're seeing tangible additions and growth, and you look across the board, and there's nothing here that this decade hasn't been kind to that's better off when it started than it is right now. I think there's an argument for the Tigers, but in the position where you are with Penny on the way up, with this team as a top 10 team, Penny coming in, having the number 1 recruiting class. You go to the Grizzlies with next gen, Ja Morant coming in. Football just making the Cotton Bowl, even the Redbirds, the PCL, the AAA championship, FedEx St. Jude Classic now becoming a World Golf Championship. Memphis also getting a USL soccer team. You look across the board, and this is all teams these are all teams here with an upswing. And that is a really good place to be for Memphis, especially for a city that bonds with their sports as much as they do.
Yeah, very much so. We are joined now by Jared Boyd. We're going to put a pin in that conversation because you're right, Clayton. That is pretty impressive, and it's odd that it's all happening simultaneously right as we end the decade. But we're going to switch gears a little bit to talk about the music scene in Memphis over the decade and nationally as well with Jared Boyd, JB. Follow him on Twitter at Jared JB Boyd, writer at the Daily Memphian, co-host and producer of the Bill Street Caravan on NPR, and DJ extraordinaire. JB, I heard you be down at the Third and Court spot.
Oh man, that's the other spot. That's the other spot. We've been getting it in at both Third and Court and at Central Station. We'll be having a New Year's party. It'll be New Year's party. It's great New Year's entertainment at both spots tonight. I'll be DJing with DJ Chandler Bling over at Central Station, playing all Memphis music until it's time to celebrate 2020. We're gonna give you a few dance hits from around the world and show some love to the rest of the world. And then we're gonna bring it back home to Memphis, bring that train on back home. We're gonna have a really great time tonight.
All right, that sounds like a blast, man. So what is Memphis music? Where is it at right now? What has this decade done as far as upping the profile of Memphis musicians?
Well, the last decade was fairly interesting with getting a musical film. I'll go ahead and call it Hustle and Flow a musical of sorts, a street musical made in this city or made about this city, and having that shining moment with the Oscar and 3 6 Mafia sort of being at the top of, I don't quite say the top of the game, but at the top of the consciousness of hearts and minds in the U.S. and sort of becoming a household name and getting a reality show and all that. And so you sort of have that kind of peak moment. And this year, there's been sort of runoff from that. There's sort of people. If you go back and look at Craig Brewer's $5 cover from last decade, which I'm sure some people would probably ask that you wouldn't, but I have recently. And a lot of those people that are in that show kind of can see their influence around town, or even some of the venues that are shown in that. There's one shot where I see, they're kind of standing across the street from the High Tone, and you can see the shadow of this weird building in the back. That's Crosstown, or it is now. And some of the people that are in those short series of short films that Craig did for MTV's $5 cover are people who have sort of left Memphis to do great things or are still here. You've got Amy LaVere, you've got Valerie June. You've got people like Al Capone and all of these sort of these personalities that are still coveted here in Memphis. But also, you've had a lot of great, huge new stars in the past few years. A lot of people probably don't remember I Heart Memphis and that huge record he had, that huge dance record he had. And, in the past couple of years, that kind of energy has moved on to people like Block Boy JB and that whole camp. Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngster. We've got NLE Chopper doing his thing. Duke Deuce is huge, and I know I'm just talking about hip hop, but when you move outside of that sector, it's even greater. Bill Street Music Fest is something that we've been talking about a bit. The C36 Mafia coming home once again, and also Young Dolph being on that bill, and Mavis Staples being on that bill, sort of shows you a bit of sort of the range that Memphis has, and that we have these people who aren't necessarily not always native Memphians that have come here through the years to sort of plant their flag, but also people who have grown up here and who are homegrown, and sort of mix of folks who are deeply rooted and people who sort of grab a bit of what we've got and share it with the world. So there's a lot to be excited about, a lot to celebrate, a lot of huge moments in the past 10 years. So I'm excited.
So you brought up some of the hip hop acts. It just seems like there are more hip hop artists out now coming from Memphis. They're more out now since like 3-6. I feel like you have to go back to the mid 90s to find this many quality Memphis hip hop artists out. Am I correct in that? Am I just missing it? We got people out here doing dances, the shoot dance. Every time I see somebody hit them with the shoot, it's like, oh, that started up the street from me. Like that,
Right.
that started. Shelby Drive is right up the street. That's where that dance started. Am I wrong in saying that, or are there more out now?
Yeah, there are too many rappers. We need some. We need some other stuff too, but they're great artists. I don't know if you've ever heard The Privilege. The Privilege is on fire right now. There's tons of artists. I have to plug the article that I wrote today, or that's out today, of my 40 songs that I heard in this past year that I've loved that were connected to Memphis, and most of them are Memphis natives, or at least people who I think that when I say the word Memphis native, or when I think of someone who's from Memphis or has been from Memphis, I think of people who made a definitive choice to live here. I mean, I read somewhere someone said, "Oh, Memphis legend Sam and Dave," and I'm thinking those people, they're from Miami. They never, it's like
right.
If I was on a work assignment somewhere, Otis Redding, he's not from Memphis, and not to say they're not important to Memphis music, because I'd be crazy to say they aren't. But when I talk about Memphians, people who are truly homegrown, not an Aretha Franklin who would have left at 2 years old or so, and someone who, as an adult, decided this is a place that I want to be. I think that holds a lot of cachet for me. And whether it's music that brought you here, or whether it's a corporate job that brought you here, like those are people who I feel like share something with me, because I know what it feels like to leave and make the decision to come back. So there's definitely something special about that. And so I hope, to go back to your point, there are tons of rappers who are from here, but there are tons of musicians who are from here, and there are tons of musicians who've made the decision to come and live here. I mean, Liz Brasher, who's hugely important to the music scene right now, is someone who made the choice to be here. And I think that means even more to me, people who could be starting a music career anywhere else who decide to be here. Amy LaVere, who's made the decision to live here in the city and make music, which isn't an easy job. That means so much to me. And so the more people that we get like that in the years to come, I think that speaks to having a real music scene. When people say, you know what, I don't want to move to Houston or Atlanta, New York or LA. I want to go to Memphis, Tennessee, and I want to be in that atmosphere and soak that up.
JB, what's going on, man? It's Clayton. How are you?
Clayton, brother, good to see you. Good to hear from you, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Good to hear you
I
too,
haven't
man.
seen you in a while, man. How you been?
It's been a while. Now, I've known you for quite some time now. I feel like I've known you pretty much the entire time I've lived in Memphis.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly hurt that I haven't heard this story about you meeting Jimmy Buffett. CJ was talking about it. Now,
It's such a good story.
Now it's all right if you can't talk about it like on air or anything like that, or if it needs to be sanitized somehow. But
no.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I didn't know if you were like partying with Jimmy Buffett or something. But
No, I haven't signed any non-disclosures or anything.
So what? Not to put you on the spot, but what's this story?
Well, I've told it on air before. That'd be the only issue, is that I've shared it before, but I mean,
It's
I
so
don't.
good. Share it again, man, if you don't mind.
Well, it's tough to kind of play the greatest hits sometimes, but
you got the way you met him is such a good story. If you don't mind, man, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. It's a new year, so that's a big moment of the decade. Is essentially I was living in Mobile, Alabama, where Jimmy Buffett spent a lot of his teenage years and went to high school. I actually was craving some Chinese food, and it was kind of late in the afternoon, and so a friend of mine, we went to get this Chinese food special, and the place had already closed for lunch, so closed down after lunch, and so we were like, okay, all right, let's go to this little spot around the corner. It was just like sort of like this little hot dog, place. It's famous for the hot dogs and chili dogs and stuff, and just get something quick. And we sit down and we're talking and eating for a little while, and I see this guy outside, and these older ladies in the dining room are just going crazy, and pointing and looking out the window, and like, that's Jimmy. And there's a musician who was a good friend, Jimmy Hall of Wet Willie, a band called Wet Willie, a Southern rock band, great Southern rock band. He's from Mobile. He's there quite a bit. So I'm thinking, oh, this Jimmy Hall, whatever. And so I keep eating, and then one of them gets up, leaves at lunch, goes out there, flags this guy down, because all I just see is his hair, and he's got a little straw hat or whatever, sort of like a nice sort of breezy shirt and shorts and sandals and such. So I'm thinking, it's Jimmy Hall hanging out. But she goes and flags this guy down and brings him in, and he sits down, and all these old ladies are freaking out. And my friend goes, that's Jimmy Buffett, man. I think you should probably go say hello. And so, I don't know. I didn't really know much about him. I had heard the song Cheeseburger in Paradise before.
Right.
And so he said, no, this doesn't really happen. He doesn't just show up in Mobile. This is a big deal. You should probably go and say hello. So I just went up to him and I said, hi, I'm Jared Boyd. I'm a local news reporter, and I just want to come and speak to you and say hello. And he said, you must be a pretty good reporter if you found me. And I said, I was already having lunch here. I think you found me. And so he pulled out a chair and tells me to sit down. He's like, "Go sit down." He made me sit down, and he told me why he was in town. We just chatted for a bit, and we talked a bit about, honestly, we talked a bit about Memphis music. One of my cousins was part of the Memphis Horns here and played with him on the road a bit. He told me why he was in town. He was doing some documentary work for getting some things squared away for a box set that he was putting out. And, he was really, really nice guy. And, he just got a water just so that he wouldn't, be empty-handed in the restaurant. But he just sort of hung out for a little minute and did the same, just sort of chill. Same thing happened with Hannibal Buress one night. Hannibal Buress, sorry. But,
Hannibal Buress?
Yeah.
You were kicking it with Hannibal?
Well, something similar happened in Mobile with Hannibal Buress. That sort of thing, is sort of miraculous. How people just sort of kind of pop into your town. I guess Hannibal was just here in Memphis doing the same thing, just sort of pops in.
Yeah.
It's great that people, can just sort of come and fill your town out a bit. I don't think Jimmy Buffett really spends a lot of time out that way. Once you fall in love with the Florida Keys, man, there's no going back.
Well, it sounds like a hot dog in Mobile sounds like one of his next songs or something like that.
Well, hopefully I'll get a co-writing credit. I asked him if I could borrow his initials for a while, and he said that it's fine. So.
Nice. Jared, you were at the start of the decade down in Alabama, down in Mobile, right?
No. Actually, let's see. At the start of the decade, I was starting college at Ole Miss. Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A lot has changed for you in this decade. When you look at the changes that have happened in the city musically, what changes do you see from the start of the decade till now?
Well, I think it's sort of music-wise. I think here locally, we might be a bit behind where sports is, honestly, in being able to really get the entire city to rally around local talent and understand what a true gem we have here. I think that's a story that maybe in another 10 years, no matter how big of a leap we make in civic pride in regards to music, I probably will still not be satisfied because our musical history is just that important to the world. It's hard for me to imagine that we can really even make up ground in that sense. Even with all that happens, all the programming that happens at Stax Museum and within the Soulsville Foundation and all the great things that happen at Fun as they continue to give like a really fantastic tour while also recording music at night. A lot of people don't realize that that's still a functioning studio, which is huge. To have a museum and a studio in that space is, just an incredible thing for people to come to town. I've sat in a lot of those sessions where people are like, people come from all over with this idea that that's the room they need to record in. With Royal Studios, sort of, if Sun is the in between as a museum and a studio, where Stax doesn't have a studio, Royal is like all studio. Like Royal is all studio. They aren't a museum, but they're doing more programming and getting people in there to see that space. And I just went to a Christmas party there. There are ways to get in there and sort of touch that history, see that history if you are a musician. But I mean, with the 40 records that I put out today and wrote about today that are on David Museum, sort of a bit of me sharing my story of, even as someone who's completely immersed in Memphis music, almost always hear 40 songs that I had no clue about really a year ago, and they span the decades from probably the early, maybe 66 until several of them are from this past year. Here are several new artists that you should maybe know about, and here are several artists that you might have missed, and here's some songs that are maybe kind of oddities by artists you may already know of, like maybe Staples or Bobby Blue Bland, that really meant something to me this year, at least stuck with me as I sort of feel like an ambassador, whether it be through the written word or through sharing Memphis music with the Beale Street Caravan to an international audience through NPR, or in the Central Station Hotel or at the Hotel Indigo where the Third and Court Lounge is. When people walk up to me and they ask about the music that I'm playing, it gives me a sense of pride to be able to say, no, this was recorded in Memphis, or this person's from Memphis, or this person lived in Memphis for a period of time and recorded this music. And people have so many questions that they ask. So that's locals and people who are just traveling through sort of have these misconceptions about our musical history. They don't quite know as much about it, or they might think that they know and they don't quite have it all. And I don't have all the answers, but one thing that I do have, or that I do enjoy sharing, is just the record. Just let the music speak for itself. And so go out there and I get on my hands and knees and go through boxes and boxes of records all the time. And I'm not the first person to do it, nor the last person, but I want to encourage everyone to, look beyond your Spotify or whatever it might be and ask questions. A lot of people still live in our neighborhoods, still live in our communities, go to our churches, are on our school boards and PTA and all these sorts of things. I found a record from a singing dentist the other day who's, as far as I know, I think he's still practicing in town. Wow. The music's fantastic. So, these are people who are around us every day and that can share this history with us. And it's not just up to the journalists and the hosts and the radio show, reporters and all these people to ask these questions. I mean, these are our grandparents and these are our uncles and aunts. And, they have this really gorgeous history. And also, with that, we can move into the future with this, fantastic music.
JB, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll get you out of here on this one. The Beale Street Music Fest for 2020 announced some of the people coming through. Acts include your Lil Waynes, Brittany Howard as well. Leon Bridges is going to make an appearance. 3-6 Mafia, Young Dolph. What do you think of the lineup so far for the Music Fest in 2020?
I'm excited to see Young Dolph. I haven't seen him perform since maybe early in the decade. I remember he did a free show at Hamilton High School. It was crazy out there. Former Mayor Harrington was out there. There was. I saw. When you see those MPD pickup trucks, that's when it's crazy. That's when it's like when they bring that out. That's when it's for real. So I'll be glad to sort of see how far he's come. I guess I did see him at but I'm excited to see him again. And 3-6 is always fantastic to see. I didn't get to see them when they came to Atlanta, nor did I get to see DJ Paul when he came to Minfo. And Mavis Staples, I'm hoping actually to maybe get in touch with her and do something to sort of welcome her home in some kind of way. be writing, maybe get her on my program or something like that. It's exciting to have those people. She's from Chicago, and her voice has been heard all over the world. She's not necessarily someone who's beholden to Memphis, but of course, some of her biggest hits with her sisters and her father have been on sax, and some of her solo stuff was on Volt. So I'm sure she has a great place in our heart for Memphis, whether or not she's here all the time or whether or not she gets to share that always. She's had an astounding career. She was signed to Prince at one time. She's incredible. She's an American musician more than she is a Memphis musician, but it's great that she's kept us in mind. So.
That is JB. Follow the homie at Jared JB Boyd on Twitter. JB, where can they find your stuff, man?
Oh man, yeah, Jared Jay and then the B Boyd. If you type that in, man, I hope that there's a lot of content out there that can help you out.
Mm-hmm.
Type it in, jaredjbboyd.com. That's Jay, then the B. Hopefully you can get connected with me, and I'd love to chat and talk Memphis music with you.
All right, JB. Thank you, man. Have a happy New Year.
Hey, hope to see y'all tonight, man. Central Station, man. We'll have some fun.
All right, man. Holla at you.
All right.
That is JB. We got to take a break, but before we do, let me take time to remind everybody that the Third and Court, the lounge at Third and Court, where JB sometimes DJs is outstanding. It is right up underneath the restaurant. It's brought to you by Sweetgrass Sunrise and 117 Prime. You can upgrade your music experience with a true Memphis sound. Check out John Williams and the A440 Band. They play classic Memphis soul every Friday night. Every Sunday at 7, Joe Restivo presents Soul Jazz Trios featuring artists like Pat Fusco, Oregon, or even the City Champs. This Saturday, January 4th, John Paul Keith is going to be ringing in the new year. The show starts at 9. You can kick back and relax, enjoy dinner at the diner, and then head downstairs to the lounge at Third and Court. Clayton, thank you for joining me the past 2 days. Clayton's got to get out of here. Got very, very, very important business to take care of. So when you get back, it'll just be me and Zach. Don't you dare touch that dial. We got more to come on the other side right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 87.7, 96.1.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Upon official review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need to get ready for the game. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about buying a newer used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory savings up to $13,000 and interest rates low as 0%. Immediate financing with next to nothing down and a $6 million used car inventory. Specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000 and monthly payments under $200. Bad credit, it's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way of doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again.
Hey, check out this report of our Office 365 email and the threats sitting in users' inboxes.
Wow, how did you get this?
There's a free tool called Barracuda Email Threat Scanner that can quickly and safely scan our Office 365 email for hidden threats like spear phishing and domain fraud.
Really?
Yeah, Barracuda Email Threat Scanner identifies hidden threats and employees most at risk for a cyber attack, all summarized in a complete report.
This is great.
Get your free email threat scan now at barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Campbell Clinic now offers daytime walk-in care, and you don't need an appointment. If you've got any kind of urgent break, sprain, strain, you can walk into any of their 5 convenient locations Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. There's no long wait you have to put up with the ER, and those doctors are really good, but they're not orthopedists. They're not world-renowned orthopedists who have come up with different procedures and written the manuals for them that are used everywhere in the world, and I'm not kidding you. And you can now see those doctors who treat the Tigers, the Grizzlies, the Redbirds. You can see them today without an appointment. And I'm talking Collierville, Germantown, South Haven, downtown at the Med Center, or even the Campbell Clinic Spine Center in Cordova. Now, if you've got something pressing, you got to go to work and you can bear the pain until the evening, there's Campbell Clinic After Hours. That's Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 in Germantown, South Haven, even Saturday morning in Germantown. If you're injured, don't wait. Visit Campbell Clinic Walk-In Care or Campbell Clinic After Hours.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Going out on the town, doing anything just to get you off of my mind. But when the morning comes, I'm right back where I started.
Welcome back in.
Trying to forget you was just the
CJ Hurt on the Experience.
Baby, come back.
Hey.
Such a good song.
So very good. Like a soulful, soft rock song. Like, oh, those are great. Those are perfect. That voice you just heard was Zach Boyd, America's Soy Toy. Clayton had to dip out, so you got us taking you the rest of the way. We've talked Memphis music scene with JB Boyd. We've talked movies with J.D. Duran, the decade that was in both music and movies with both of those two. If you missed that or any other portion of the show, feel free, hop online, sports56whbq.com for the podcast. Click in the podcast folder. You can get it there. You can also get it in the Sports 56 app. We've also talked a lot of KJ Lawson's return and the booze that rained down and why that is and where you can and can't go because of the rivalry that Memphis has with certain cities and certain programs. We talked about that. We've touched on the decade that was in Tigers football, how that has just shot through the roof from where it was at the start of the decade, 2 wins. 2009, Tommy West saying, get rid of the program if you're not going to invest in it. And it looked like for a while there they weren't going to invest in it during the Larry Porter era. And then, right hire with Justin Fuente, and bam. And you knew almost immediately that it was going to be the right hire with Justin Fuente. Didn't know it was going to be this, but you knew, well, not this, but what it was with Fuente, but you knew, hey, this is a guy who can get things done, get you back to bowl games year in, year out. Then you look up, and they've got co-champions in the conference. And then you keep that thing rolling with Mike Norvell, who's got you to a Cotton Bowl, got college football game day to come through. So like the decade in Tigers, the decade that was for Tigers football was thrilling. It was exciting. It was every year was better than the year previous. It seems like when you look at football from around the area, that's not necessarily the case when you think about where Arkansas was at the beginning of the decade and pre 2010s and where they are now, thanks in large part to that motorcycle accident for Mr. Petrino. Also, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, they had that great stretch there in the 14 season, maybe the 15 season, 1-2. That game was great. The hype around that was superb. It was outstanding. The feel, the vibe of the Mid-South, like that traveled from game day in Mississippi all the way up here to Memphis. You felt it in the city. That was thrilling. That was exciting. That was something that we had never seen and that we probably, that we hopefully get to see again.
No, I, like just add on to that, because I remember, like I remember when when all the Mid-South teams were really good, and how the entire country was like descending upon the Memphis area, the Mid-South area, because we had the pulse of the entire country. Now, there's just no disrespect to any of the other teams that were still rocking at the time, but everybody's attention was here in the Mid-South. Everything, the pulse of college football was here in the Mid-South at one point. And
that was fun.
And it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was fun, especially like Memphis Tigers fans to be indirectly, receiving some of the light as well because of SEC football that's around here. So it was fun this year. This decade was really fun to be a sports fan here locally,
especially of the college football teams. Breaking news! Oh my gosh.
What's happening?
We're giving away 4 tickets to the Liberty Bowl right now on the Sports 56 WHBQ Facebook page. Oh, yeah. All you have to do is go like the post on the page about the tickets. We'll be picking out winners shortly. So, again, go to the Sports 56 Facebook page. That's Sports 56 WHBQ on Facebook. Like the post about the tickets. Giving away tickets to the Liberty Bowl. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. K-State, Navy, Liberty Bowl. Great. I've been to 4 or 5 Liberty Bowls, and every one of them has been outstanding, a whole lot of fun to go to. So definitely go check that out. And we touched on, we didn't get all the way through the Tigers basketball talk because we forget that this decade started with Cal leaving. So shot goes in, Cal leaves, Josh Pastner era is rolling. So we think get a couple of conference championships and CUSA. When the jump is made to the American, though, teams get a little bit tougher. Then you see that dip happens. Didn't get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament in the Pastner era, and towards the end there, everybody, all this talent, give him credit. He was good at getting the talent in to the program, not good enough to keep the talent there with some of the things that he was doing.
Yeah, that was a rough stretch there. Because at one point during this decade, like, you thought to yourself, okay, like, Cal kind of did us dirty by leaving us and just taking everything with him. But we're here now. We're good. Everything is fine. And then next thing you know, like, we just can't get out of that second weekend. And that's and really honestly, like, the last several years, like, that's really what Tiger fans really want when they make a deep tournament run. Just get out of the just get out of the weekend. Let's go into the second weekend. Like, let's get into the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
That's really what Tiger. Now, granted, like, championship is everybody's dream. But just getting out of the weekend, winning 2 games to get out of the weekend.
The first weekend.
The first weekend of the NCAA tournament. That's really what you want to be. You want to be, put up a banner and say, hey, Sweet 16, top 16 teams in the country. That's what you want.
So the decade for the Tigers, if we do the line graph, started off kind of midway and kind of had a quick blip up. It's like, okay, Josh in his second year is in the NCAA tournament, and he's getting better recruits. And he's back in the tournament the second year, and he's back in it the third year, but not advancing out of the first weekend to the Sweet 16. And then it takes a dip down, and you begin to see some of the issues with the program where all these different players are transferring, and the gosh golly nature of Josh Pastner began to where it was charming and endearing at first, but when the wins stopped coming and the wins weren't there, it took a significant dip, and then it comes, I guess, up a little bit with Tubby, but not as high up and fast enough as people wanted in those 2 years. And now it's made a considerable leap up when you look at the job that Penny Hardaway does. The excitement around the program when it was announced that ALO was going to flip from Wichita State and that Wichita was going to let him out of the letter of intent to come through. And you look at the contributions ALO is making right now, you see why that excitement was there. The fact that the excitement around the program when Tyler Harris decided to finally commit, and some of the things he said about not feeling wanted by Tubby Smith in the program. And then you make the jump the second year in Penny Hardaway's tenure to the #1 overall ranked recruiting class. And even without James Wiseman, This is certainly still a top 10 recruiting class, maybe even top 5, I think, and what they've done. So this program has made a quick, considerable leap up. And when you look around the city and you see that 2021 class of juniors coming through with all the connections that Penny Hardaway has to those players in this city, you can see how that trajectory will continue to go high up in the start of the next decade, though, the roaring 20s or whatever the hell we're going to call this decade.
Yeah, like the last two recruiting class, especially the Penny's first recruiting class, when he had to pretty much scramble to put a team together, like getting Alex, you kind of expect it because it was like, yeah, that makes sense. But that Tyler, when Tyler decided he wanted to commit to the University of Memphis, it literally set the city on fire. Now, granted, like next year, like the following year after that, we end up getting the number 1 recruiting class, and that definitely like almost getting ready to burn the whole city down for
like
that.
But it started with that
Right.
first one. It built the momentum, got the things
right.
rolling. It was cool again to be a Memphian and play for the Memphis Tigers.
Right, and that's
something they wanted to do.
And that is something that fans, this coaching staff want to show to not only their local recruits but also nationally. Like, hey, like you can get what you looking for here at Memphis. I understand the Dukes, the Kansas, the Arizonas, and North Carolinas. They all have story programs. But you can get exactly what you're looking for here at Memphis, and you can, and it is cool to be I guess you can consider this a mid-major because the American is not in the Power 5, but it's cool to go to a mid-major, especially a storied program mid-major team, and win.
Yeah, Memphis is different from Memphis. Ain't Long Beach State. This isn't Prairie View A&M. Memphis has history. So there's got to, Drew and I like to call it a power major, where it is up there with the likes of those schools that are in the Big East, also not in the P5, up there with Gonzaga, not in the Power 5. So simply not being in the Power 5, I don't think should give you the designation of mid-major, because that comes with a certain thought behind it. Like, oh, this is a lesser program. Memphis is not lesser by any means on the hardwood. It's just not, unfortunately, in one of the P5 conferences. Like I said, Drew and I like to call it power major. I don't know what you guys call it, hell. But that's, by you guys, I mean listeners, but that's what it is in the national perception. Very good program, and great things are to come. They're looming over this program. Great things in the years to come. Again, people, if you missed it, we're giving away 4 tickets to the Liberty Bowl right now on the Facebook page, Sports 56 WHBQ on Facebook. All you got to do is like the post on the page about the tickets, and we'll be picking out a winner in a little bit. Liberty Bowl has seen a really good decade. Highlighted, I think, the game that everybody will have on their minds when you say, well, what's the game in the Liberty Bowl of the decade? Memphis getting to play in Liberty Bowl Memorial for the Liberty Bowl. Like, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you just take away the game aspect of it, because I think everybody, like especially Memphis fans, will feel a certain type of way about it. But if you just take that part of it, like the build up to it was like so great. Like travel wise, I mean, it's here locally. You don't have you don't have to book a hotel. You just leave your house out in Germantown or out in South Memphis. You just come on over to the Liberty Bowl as usual. Maybe you park in your same spot if they didn't take your designated parking spot. But I mean, it's just the build up to it. You was able to win enough games to get into your conference championship, and then to be able to play in your own stadium as a bowl game was like the best of both worlds that year.
Yeah, it was, and you just think about all the hype that was surrounding it. Like, oh my gosh, never thought this could happen, because we didn't think Memphis won. A lot had to happen. 1, Memphis had to be good enough to go to a bowl. 1, 2. Things had to break just so to where they weren't going to get that SEC team. And then it was, okay, it does. So which American team are you going to get? Gonna get Memphis. It was great. That was a whole lot of fun. Elsewhere in the city, the decade that saw the Memphis Redbirds be really, really good at moments and in stretches. And you go back to 2017, 2018, where they won the PCL championship beak to beak, and they're playing in the AAA National Championship against the Durham Bulls both of those years. And and more importantly, I don't think it's a knock on them to say more importantly, all the Redbird players that you saw get called up, that the ones that you grew close to because they were playing right here in Memphis and seeing what their careers were and where their careers took them, fam, immediately comes to mind. I feel like
Steven Piscotty,
another one. Pujols had an assignment down here for a little bit,
for
didn't
a little bit.
Was it this decade?
No, it wasn't this decade. I think at one point Carson Kelly, he was like the number one prospect catcher. He's in the bigs now. I mean, Jesus, you can rattle off some names, and I'm drawing a blank, and I can see faces with names right now. But I mean, the Redbirds had this was their year too. This was their decade too. And then considering the fact that Mike Schlid is the manager now of the Cardinals, Stubby Clapp, who is the position coach with the Cardinals now. I mean, they had it that the Cardinals had a good year, especially the Redbirds. They had a good year of homegrown talent here locally, making their way up into the big leagues.
It kept AutoZone Park, the keeping of AZP here,
and that was huge as well
to allow 901 FC to come through. They're not here if the Redbirds packed up and moved.
Right.
Do we think we got that barbecue nacho thing figured out? One of the weirder stories from the decade was the fact that the AZP AutoZone Park decided to use barbecue nachos not from the Rendezvous, and everybody was really distraught about that. It made national news. One of those weird things you wouldn't think would be news, but was definitely news. You can also add to the list of things. You know what? We got to take a break. We'll take a break. We'll talk more about how the city has changed leading into middays in this next segment. Again, if you want these 4 Liberty Bowl tickets, they're on the Facebook page. You got to like the post, and then wait, because we're going to pick a winner from one of the people who have liked the post. So definitely do that and give us a follow on the Facebook, Sports 56 WHBQ. Follow us on Twitter, or give us a like on Facebook. Give us a follow on Twitter, Sports 56 WHBQ. We're on Instagram, Periscope, and YouTube. Check us out, live streaming all day long, man. You're listening to The Experience with CJ Hurt right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 Middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
The ARS Rescue Rooter National Hoop Fest, presented by Conway Services Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, is coming. It's 3 days of great high school basketball to kick off the new year right here in Hoop City, January 2nd through the 4th. The action starts Thursday at Christian Brothers as CBHS hosts their fellow Christian Brothers from St. Louis. Friday the 3rd brings 4 games at Briarcrest Christian School and 2 more at Olive Branch High School. And then Saturday features great basketball throughout the day with 6 games at Briarcrest starting at 12:30 in the afternoon. It's your chance to see top teams from around the country do battle with the best of Memphis and see some of the nation's top recruits, including 19 top 50 recruits. It's the ARS Rescue Rooter National Hoop Fest, presented by Conway Services Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, January 2nd through the 4th. 3 days of great high school basketball. See the full schedule and get tickets at nationalhoopfest.com.
For over 25 years, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 has been bringing you great local sports talk. With 13 hours of local talk daily, we continue to be Memphis's local sports leader. The day starts with Keith Parker and Elliot Wender on the press box from 6 to 7, followed by the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt from 7 to 10. Sports 56 middays with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy takes you through lunch from 10 until 1. And then, John Harden brings you Johnny Radio's Happy Hour from 1 to 3. Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy drive you home every afternoon with Sports Time with Wolo and Stats from 3 till 6. And John Rennie wraps up the day with Southern Sports Report from 6 to 7 before we turn things over to Fox Sports Radio to get you through the evening. We also bring you Ole Miss sports, NFL football, and the NCAA basketball tournament. Don't miss anything. Keep your radio locked in right here on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
My old lover in the grocery store. The snow was falling Christmas Eve. I stole behind her in the frozen foods.
Welcome back in.
I touched her on the sleeve.
Oh, I was wondering where he touched her at. I was like, did he touch her on the knee? Because that's kind of weird. Welcome back in, everybody. Last segment before we send it over to Middays. Greg and Eli and Gabe. It's the usual cast of characters now. What's going on over there on Middays in the next segment? Is that, or next hour?
Connor O'Gara is joining the program, along with Don Wade, Steve Macy, and 2.5 questions.
Awesome. Talk some Florida, Virginia, I'd imagine, with Connor and get everybody set up for some of the big matchups across the SEC still to come. Probably also talk about the way LSU just beat the hell out of Oklahoma. That'll be a fun conversation with them. So definitely give Middays a listen tomorrow. We talked some in the last segment about the decade that was, not only in the sports that jump to mind immediately, your Tigers football, Tigers basketball, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State football, Grizzlies. We also talked about what AutoZone Park went through, what the Redbirds were able to do, 901 FC. Just a lot has changed in the city of Memphis. Think about it. At the start of the decade, there was nobody was in the Bass Pro Pyramid. Like, it was just
Not
there.
at all.
Nobody was there.
I still remember the time when they was like coming up with blueprints, and they were actually was thinking about turning it into an amusement park. I still remember that day.
And somebody says, hey, you know what? Bass Pro wants it. Like, okay, cool. What are they going to do with it? Made it into something really, really fun to do. Every Christmas and Halloween, like, we go to Bass Pro to hang out because it's a fun vibe. It's a fun addition to the city. Other fun additions to the city. The Big River Crossing, the bridge, and just the emergence of all the bike lanes also that take you from one part of the city to the next part, the way that works.
I say Bill Street Landing.
Bill Street Landing, another one that popped off this decade. The Big River Crossing, if you have yet to do it, it is beautiful. Have you done it?
No, I haven't.
Go do it. I
haven't.
It's a walking bridge over the river, and the view is spectacular. All the families out there, if you need a little bit of exercise, just walk across. I've ridden my bike across there many a times. I've walked across, jogged across. It is a fun addition to the city. And think about Clayton brought it up earlier in the show, the World Golf Championship, the FedEx St. Jude Invitational that started this past year as well. Just a lot of really cool things happening in Memphis this decade, and a lot more I think are going to pop off in the next decade.
Yeah, they pushing up the time for that as well. The Golf Classic because of the Olympics.
Yeah, they are. Do you have anything that you'll remember this decade for specifically, Zach?
I mean, nothing really that comes to mind. I mean, like you said,
where were you at the start of the decade?
I was in high school. It was junior year.
Junior year of high school.
Junior year of high school.
Think about how far you've come. Junior year of high school, you probably had no clue you were going to be Similac Zach America's
Not at all. Like I had no idea I was going to be on Sports 56 10 years ago. So I could say that for sure.
10 years ago, I was beginning. No, I flunked out of pharmacy school the first time. 10 years ago, I flunked out of pharmacy school the first time because I'm hard-headed and don't learn my lesson. I went back and flunked out the second time immediately following. So the first 2 years of the decade started off with a lot of failure for your boy. But hey, now I'm here, and I get to do this on air. So here's hoping that you and yours have a wonderful, wonderful New Year's celebration. Here's hoping that the 2010s were a great decade for you and that the 2020s are even better. Again, everybody, listen, don't want to get into too much detail about this because I'm not trying to bring down the party or anything or the celebration of the fun. We've had a lot of fun on the show today. New Year's Eve, we all are going to be out partying, celebrating, having a good time. Please, for the love of God, don't drink and drive. As somebody who has been hit by a drunk driver, you are risking not only your life and your family's happiness, but drivers on the roads' lives and their family's happiness as well. Uber, Lyft, walk, take a cab, whatever you do, celebrate, party hard. Just don't drink and drive, man. We appreciate that very, very much so. Well, welcome back. We're back. Wait, are we going to break? What's going on here? We got to run, man. We got to run. We got to get out of here. We're going to break now. We are going to a break. I'm not still doing the show.
We're going to the break.
Stop pushing buttons over there and messing your boy up. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your New Year's Eve. Greg and Eli with Middays are next. You've been listening to The Experience right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1.
The after Christmas sales happening now at Family Leisure. Up to half off display models, closeouts, even new items. All 2019 spas have to go to make room for incoming inventory. Thousands off all in-stock spas. Game table starting at just $99. Theater seating and massage chairs are priced to move. You're already thinking about summer, so buy what you want now. The after Christmas sale is going on now at Family Leisure. I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together.
Mid-South Power Distributors is your source for all things diesel. For more than 26 years, they've supplied all the diesel parts that you need. From simple repairs to complete overhauls, they have it all. Whether it's heavy, medium,